I'm here with Nathan Anderson, who is with Franklin Square Investments. He is going to be one of our speakers at Course5 Compass Digital Tech Center Stage on May 14th. Nate, you're going to talk about challenging assumptions. I think that's a really interesting and critical skill for all analysts or everyone involved in the data ecosystem. You're coming at this with a great deal of experience from companies like Comcast, Ally Financial, Google. You're now at Franklin Square Investments. Can you give us an example of a situation where you were challenging an assumption, either your own or someone else's?
Yeah, absolutely. And just to give a little background on that, I'll admit that I'm always better at challenging other people's assumptions than my own because I'm rather fond of my own. And that's kind of the rub when it comes to challenging assumptions, as we'll explore more during the session. But when I first started working at Google, I reported up through Sheryl Sandberg's organization, and she was big on mentoring people and helping them be better at managing their careers. And one of the things that she imparted on us was that you ask why, or you should be ready to answer the question why 3 times, so that you either come to a point where 1, you understand, or 2, you understand that you won't or can't understand. And that's where you've identified something that doesn't make sense and is either not a way to make an efficiency or something you could be doing better. This is the naive approach that children and new hires and the Confucian student who's a fool for 5 minutes. All of that is wisdom because it works. So I think good analytics start with good questions. Good questions, can't be denied. They're persistent. They're stubborn, like facts. So, ask these good questions. Why is this good a question as any? And just ask it persistently, but nudge it appropriately to fit your business.
Right. So often when you're in the middle of you think you might, you're feeling prompted to challenge an assumption or ask one of those why questions 3 times. That can be a fairly daunting experience, and it takes a bit of courage to stand up and do so. Do you have any advice for people who are maybe feeling a little unequal to the task? Any suggestions for how we should have the courage to challenge assumptions?
Well, I think that's why, probably other presenters will get into this more deeply than I will, but I think culture is really important here. I think we're hired to think. And so a lot of people come to this space because they are enamored with facts and they like empirical things. And that's only half the battle, unfortunately. It may be even less, right? As things get more, the data side of it gets more commoditized. We have to be better at persuading people. And so that's what the problem is with challenging assumptions, is because it feels like you're challenging people. And I, in my first statement came out right and said it, that I am fond of my own assumptions. Well, everybody is. And so even if they're not truly their own assumptions, if they're just business processes or whatever that somebody inherited, they still find comfort in sticking to those scripts because for whatever reason it's led them to be in that position that they're in and retaining that. And there's sort of that comfort and maybe misplacement of attribution as to why someone has their job or gets to keep doing what they're doing. But a lot of times assumptions, or when you're challenging assumptions, it's the people on the other end of it who think it's them that you're challenging. And culture, I think, can be very beneficial here. This is a tough thing to achieve, but you have to, I think, set up an environment where it's okay to disagree and to attack ideas, not people, and disagree openly and respectfully. And, I'm still struggling with that in my own career. I think some of the case studies that I was going to be prepared to talk about are examples of times where it's been hard for me, even when I have felt and known that I've been on the right side of the facts. At the end of the day, you're still persuading people, some of whom might feel threatened by what you're bringing to them. But I think what I've learned over time is to be transparent about process and the way that you work. I find there are certain personalities or roles even within companies where analysts are prone to disagree. One of them is, engineering or product development. Another is design. And I've had, repeated beefs with creative designers who have this UX charge, right? We're in charge of user experience and, the look and feel and how that's, very, and they're right. It is important. on the other.
Instead of everybody kind of being part of the solution.
Right. No, everyone is.
Right.
And so what I've tried to set up, and I've repeatedly bumped heads with a couple of these people throughout my career. One who I actually consider to be a really good friend, and we have this relationship where there's this tension, and it's because, you know, she interprets my attack on an idea or a process as a personal attack. And so as we've gotten to know each other better over the years, I've tried to come into these things by saying, this is how I like to present my, my challenging questions, my thoughts, my input are about the idea, and the tension that we're feeling, that's actually collaboration.
Interesting.
We both have stake in this. We both care. That's a good thing, provided our values align, right? Like if you're doing it for ambition or because you're evil, like we're not going to agree at the end of the day. But like more often than not, you're going to find your values can't align, and then the collaboration can move on past the sort of personal thing. But I think establishing the ground rules of collaboration or the way that you work with people ahead of time can be helpful, just to expose, that you are trying to push in the same direction.
Nice. Yeah, I completely agree. So I think our audience on the 14th is going to get a lot out of a deeper conversation on the topic, and they will definitely benefit from your experience. Thank you very much for your willingness to talk today and for your willingness to talk to us on the 14th.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I'm really looking forward to it.
All right. Take care, Nate.
Bye.